how to get the most consistent wholesale deals on a daily basis. And I'm not going to tell you anything you really don't know other than you actually have to do the work. But what we'll do is break it down systematically, all the different places that you have to hit. And I'm going to show you how you have to compile this so you keep your pipeline full. Honestly, probably one of the biggest struggles most new wholesalers get is they don't have enough leads in their pipeline. Honestly, when you're starting out, it's even more challenging because you're going from 0 to 100 miles an hour. And to do that, you have to work 10 times as hard as somebody who's been in the business just a couple years. If you're going to go from 0 to 100, you first got to get to 1 mile an hour, 2 mile an hour, 3 mile an hour, and so forth and so forth. And the really cool thing is it all really builds together. But you have to start somewhere. And honestly, the biggest thing you have to get started on is your marketing to find motivated sellers. So let's point you in the right direction to get the most consistent deals in your wholesaling pipelines. And by the end of this video, I promise you, you'll have enough resources, enough ideas in your head. You just got to put it all together. And most importantly, you have to bring your A game effort when doing this. So let me jump into this. I ain't got much of a voice left, but we'll do it. So if you know quantity is required, think about quantity. Quantity is the cure to overcome inexperience, lack of confidence in doing it. The more quantity you have, the more opportunity you have. And that's why quantity can't kill you in the beginning. And then as you get quantity dialed in, you start to get a few deals on your belt, then you can laser in on the quality of your leads. But I'm never going to take off quantity in your first year because you need as much as possible. So let's jump into it and let's see how we can build a quantity. First and foremost, we're going to start with the simplest, most easiest way to fill your pipeline. If you've never done a deal before, you've watched this, you've done the marketing section of freewholesaling.com. That's our free course. Go to freewholesaling.com. Me and my son put a 100% free course, no credit card required, to get you started in wholesaling, not only your first deal, but to your first 100 grand. Let's jump into it. First one, driving for dollars. Very simple. Just get in your car, go out and find ugly houses. And a lot of you think this is just a beginner strategy. And I'm here to tell you, it is a senior strategy too. To this day, my business still uses this. Why? Because this is the most precise list you can get. Because not only do you create your own list, nobody else has access to this list. And number three, you put your eyes on it, which shows visual distress on the property. So it's an off-market list. Nobody else has access to it. And there's already signs of motivation from the property itself. I'll put this list against any 10,000 list I buy on any service because you have a huge competitive advantage and nobody else is breathing down your neck to hit the exact same prospects of you. Guys, driving for dollars, you just got to go out of your way, a little bit different route every other day you do it. Even if you do it a day or two a week, it is phenomenal. To this day, if I am short on leads in my local wholesale market, I have my employees all get in your car, make it a competition, and bring back driving for dollars leads. Why? They're fast, it's fun, and honestly, I've never seen somebody screw up a driving for dollars list. You have got to go crazy with this list. So unless some of you guys going out getting 25, 30 leads, remember what I said earlier here. Quantity is the cure for almost everything when you start out in wholesaling. So if you're getting 25, you need to find a way to go get 500. I'm sorry, that's just what needs to be done. The more leads you have, the more opportunities I give you, and the quicker the start you're going to get in wholesaling. And you've got to remember that. So the next ones, which I'm going to bore you to death with it, we're just going to run through it. Government lists. These are lists that are going to be derived at your county courthouses and or your city or county government offices. And let's just do a quick run through of them. I'm not going to go into grave detail. If you want to learn how to do these, go over to freewholesaling.com. They will show you everything to do with that. So number one, probate. I say probate 100,000 times. I'll still say it 101,000 times. It is at my absolute favorite way to get wholesale deals. They're the most profitable. Honestly, once you get past on learning how to marketing them and pulling the list and actually talking to probates, they're actually some of the easiest leads you'll ever work. Most people have a phobia with them because it seems a little bit intimidating. After all, you're dealing with people who passed away. But let me ask you this. If you don't do it, who else is going to do it? Somebody else is going to step up. It should be you. Don't overlook probates. You got to go to your county probate courthouse. Once again, go to freewholesaling.com. Show you how to pull them all. Next one's going to be pre-foreclosures. Very simple. People are being sued by their banks because they didn't make the payment. And the bank wants them to either rectify it or they want to liquidate the asset so they can recoup their capital. Very straightforward. This is actually one of the easiest lists you can get. It is a public lawsuit. You should get zero resistance against this list. And most of you can get this list easily online. Now, the key in any type of pre-foreclosure is, remember this, catch them early. If you can catch them in the first 3 months, you've got a great shot. After the first 3 months, it's typically procrastination city. People are like painful and they waste the last minute till it goes to auction. So if you can catch them in the first 3 months, it is phenomenal. My next favorite one from the courthouse is going to be your evictions. These are landlords that are tired of people not paying the rent, trashing it, or combination of both. Now, here's the ones we target. I'm not looking for the guy that owns 100 rental properties. He's pretty much a well-oiled machine, he or she. A lot of female landlords, very, very powerful. So, no, I'm looking for the mom and pop that a guru taught them to own rentals. It'd be perfect scenario. The renter goes in, trashes the place, never pays for it. When I can catch them where they're doing an eviction and they got to put 10, 20, 30 grand into the property, that is what you call a motivated seller. And they're my absolute favorite. 1 to 2 properties is the sweet spot, but under 4 is where you'll find the best deals. Once they own more than 4, typically they're a professional landlord and they don't care what you have to say as a wholesale and they'll waste your time. Now, the next one, which I absolutely love, are tax delinquencies. And tax delinquency is, we're talking specifically about real estate taxes. So at the end of the year or in the middle of the year or whenever your state's property taxes are due, and these taxes are used to fund your schools, your fire departments, your police departments, your roadways. It is a necessary tax. And the city needs to get these tax dollars. So if you don't pay them, then basically it can go to a tax certificate sale. That means people bid on your taxes. The city gets their money and then they stand in line as your lien holder and they get a preferred interest rate on it, depending on what they bid it on. Now, it seems fundamentally sound to say if somebody can't pay their property taxes, they're probably going to have challenges with the property. And eventually, if they don't pay the property tax, it will wind up in some sort of foreclosure auction. Now, nobody wants that. So when someone misses their property taxes, I find when they get 2 years behind, 1 year, they can just be financing the property, but 2 years, those are my favorite, because if you haven't paid your taxes in 2 years, odds are most likely you need to get the house sold. Now, here's the sweet spot I like to find in tax delinquencies. I like to find properties at or just below the average median price for the market that you are servicing. Do not waste your time on multi-million-dollar properties or even million-dollar properties, because these people are typically financing their taxes and you're just going to waste your time. Target them off the tax assessed value, which on average should be between 20 and 25% off the retail, the ARV of your property. And you can do it straight from your county's CSV file. Now, how do you get this list? Real simple. Well, simple, but not simple. You have to go in and request it from your county office. It is either going to be most likely your tax collector office along with the DMV. You can get a thumb drive. You can get it sent to a CSV file or an XLS file. Sometimes you'll get in a PDF format, but there's enough technology that you can convert it now. But listen, just try to get it. And remember, all these lists I talk about, to overcome resistance, you must beat it with persistence. There is no other way to do it. And you've got to keep that in mind. So let's keep going. I like tax delinquencies. Here's the really cool part. You only got to pull it once a year, guys. Once a year. Don't overthink this. Okay. I always stick to the basics in wholesaling because that's what works. It's not the sexiest, but it works. Code violations. Honestly, my first year in wholesaling, this was 70% of what I did. Code violations. This is basically when somebody gets out of line in a city, say they paint their house purple, or they get their grass really high, or they board up the windows, they put a blue tarp on the roof. The city comes knocking on the door, or a Karen rats them out, and they get a notice. And if they don't correct the violation and report back to the city, they can get a lien opposed against their house for anywhere from $10 to $50 a day, sometimes even $100. And I've seen overgrown lawns that were fixed in 30 days. The city put a $30,000 lien. Doesn't mean it's right. It's ridiculous. There's a process to get removed off this list. And most people don't do it because they don't like the government. I don't get them. So I get it. Code violations. I focus on tall grass, deferred maintenance. What's the other one? And structural issues. Those are the 3 we focus on. The others are kind of a waste of time. Next one, water shutoffs. My God, it seems fit that if the water's been shut off on the property, that property is not functioning the way it should be. You can't use the bathroom, can't use the sink, can't use the washing machine. You literally, like, I'm not going to get graphic on this. You just can't do anything in the house. Now, if the water's shut off for a personal individual or even a landlord, it's still the same thing. Think about it. If the water got shut off while a landlord owns it, odds are they're probably going to be moving out. It's going to be eviction. So I chase anybody I can get on this list. How do we pull this list? Number one, you've got to go to your public utility department. The keyword has got to be public. It cannot be privately owned. They're not most likely going to give it to you. You want a list of the most recent water shutoffs in the last 30 days. And then from there, you can skip trace those people. You can do a reverse driving for dollars. You can do whatever you want with it. It works really well. We're going to talk about reverse driving for dollars. Don't worry about it. I love water shutoffs. One of the more challenging lists you can get. So you've got to know, you got to be able to overcome the objections at least twice when you go on there. The next one right behind it is basically the fire damaged properties. It goes without saying, kitchen fires happen all the time, bathroom fires, most of them are pretty small. And if you can catch it, there is an insurance estimate on it. They're actually very easy to figure out the damage. The challenge is these are specialty buyers. Your normal cash buyers do not buy fire damaged properties. It takes a different type of fix and flipper to buy those, and they take a little bit longer to find. But I will tell you, when you find these deals, most people are very interested in selling them. If you can strike the right price, they wind up being phenomenal deals, absolutely phenomenal. So fire damaged properties, how do you get them? Can't make this any simpler. Just go to your fire department and be super nice. This is the one exception. I do not beat up firemen, fire ladies, because we don't have enough of them. And honestly, they're doing a job you and me most likely don't want to do. So I simply ask them, can I get the most recent list of the calls you've gone on for properties that have caught fire? That's it. Just as simple as that. And something like, I got to run it by my boss, whatever it is, just work with them, be super kind with them, and you'll get what you want with it eventually. So the next one, you guys don't hear me talk about this one, is garage sale list. And I love this list. You've got to understand, a garage sale list. I don't want you to go to garage sales, but I found out an interesting fact is when there are garage sales, there is opportunities. Either the homeowner selling or most likely the tenant is doing a midnight move out and they're trying to get as much cash as possible to open up their new rental property, and their current landlord doesn't know about it. How do I know this? Check this out. We found a correlation with garage sales to midnight tenant moves out, and they were big. So here's what we did. We combed all the online, the Craigslist, the Facebook groups. You can even pull up cities' websites because sometimes you got to register your garage sale. Get a list of all your current garage sales. Once you have the garage sales, I want you to cross-reference that to the individual property owner. If it is an absentee owner, meaning their mailing address is different from the property address they're showing the garage sale is, that is a tenant that's probably doing a midnight move out. They're going to do a real quick sale. 9 times out of 10, their landlord doesn't know about it. Now, if it's the individual owner that's doing a garage sale, that's fine too. That's a perfect opportunity to reach out to them, because if they're doing a garage sale, good probability they probably might be selling the house. Now, the ones to avoid are the chronic garage sale people, the people that have it every week or every other week. They're a waste of time. This is what they do for a living, and avoid these people like the plague. Now, once you have that information, you can cold call them, warm call them. You can send them a postcard in the mail, although you got to move a little bit faster. And then the really cool thing is when you find the landlord that doesn't know his tenant's moving out, you just did him or her a favor. And when you did him a favor, you have the upper hand if he or she decides to sell the property. Honestly, I've been in this situation when a tenant moves out, the rent hasn't been paid in months, and the property is trashed, and you're surprised. It is an easy decision to sell these properties because usually it's happened more than once. We're looking for inexperienced landlords. The ones that own 4 or less properties, they are perfect target for this. If you don't believe me, check this out. It absolutely works. You guys want to fill up your pipeline. I'm showing you all the strategies you can do to get consistent wholesale deals. See, you can't just do one thing and go to bed on it. It doesn't work that way. You got to keep them going. Okay. Next one. I talk about this till I turn blue in the face. I've had thousands of people have success with this. Digital Bandit signs. They're free. If you want to learn how to do them, go over to freewholesaling.com. Not going to go too deep into this. All the idiots that go out there and basically post their paid Facebook ads and all that stuff, they don't mind anything on them. They just throw them out there with an ad agency. They spend $5,000. They get 1 or 2 leads. Why don't you just go out and do the exact same thing? Just do it for free. And I'm telling you, there are people out there that you can come across on. It is somewhat of a timing issue, but that's what you want to do. Now, when you want to do that, now that we are on that, we can also do Bandit comments. You go, what the hell is he talking about? Basically, remember I mentioned earlier on the Facebook ads, when the people spend $3,000 to $5,000 a month, what they do all the time. I just researched 3 before I was coming here because I was going over with a staff member, and we are engaging a seller as we speak right now. They posted on one of these big, we buy ugly house buyers. They never ever responded to any post. So we put a post under there. We're local, we're here, we're buying, and we respond. Guess what? Somebody posts. Within 10 minutes, we reach out to them, get their phone number, get them on the phone. That's my lead. You paid $5,000 for it. I got it for free. If you guys are going to be this stupid in placing ads and you're going to follow these ridiculous gurus, go on there and use the Bandit comments trick. It works really, really well. And my favorite thing in the world is getting a lead for free, especially when somebody else paid big money on it. Okay, coming in our next hottest one. Bandit signs, talking about physical bandit signs, they work. Now, I don't want you to go out buy 100, 200, or even 500 signs. I want you to get 10 or 15, maybe 20 if you're feeling super aggressive, and you're going to do 3 lines. Your top line is sell your house today. The next line is any condition, any situation. And the third one is your virtual phone number. One side only. You can use white with black ink, or you can use yellow or gold with black ink. Just use white, it's cheaper. Find a sign supplier. Don't go out and do 100 of them. And get that big giant Sharpie marker, the one at the big box stores. It's like $1 or $2, and write it yourself. I just saved you thousands of dollars by doing that. And then what you want to do is, like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is cluster your signs 10 to 12 in a tight knit neighborhood. It looks like you're bigger than you actually are. Code enforcement's usually not out, and that is the time to hit hard. Now you can pick up your signs and recycle them. If money's tight, do what you got to do. But the idea is you have that project going on every weekend. Guys, I love Bandit signs. It is like a billboard. They work. That's why politicians use them. Mattress companies use them. Dating sites use them. They work. You got to get them in the right area. So keep in mind, you're in an age of a day where people take pictures of the sign. So if you can't drive by slow enough to take a picture, you got to have it where there is a stop sign, a red light, or something where it slows traffic down. If you put it on a major highway at 55 miles an hour, no one's ever going to stop to read your Bandit sign. So make sure there's something to slow traffic down and get them out, guys. They work. Now, as a public disclosure, I will tell you, you need to follow all city and county ordinances and all state laws. I just want to make sure I got that so I don't get in trouble. Okay, now let's talk about some paid lists. I just started just free, and honestly, I could probably go on like another 2 hours on this. I'm just trying to fill your pipeline up today and give you as many ideas as possible. Let's talk about paid lists. When you go through listrei.com, number one, you guys pull the high equity. If you want to know the exact filters to pull, go over to freewholesaling.com. We show you how to do it. High equity lists, they're easy. A lot of other people pull them, so you're going to have to work them hard. Most people pull them to cold call, skip trace, and some people have the guts to mail to them. The key here is consistency. Basically, you're looking for someone with at least 40% or higher equity ownership. So if a property is worth $100,000 and they have 40% equity in it, it basically means they owe $60,000 on the property and they got about $40K in equity in it. Equity is a constant moving target, so don't worry about it. The next one, which I love, are the vacants. Now, the really cool thing in listrei.com on the vacants, you can actually, where is it? I'll put it back up. You can actually use the preset filter for vacant, and you just pick your geographic area. If you can do it by zip code, you can do it by city. You can draw a shape on your map. I absolutely love it because I don't have to overthink it. And the really cool thing about a lot of these filters, once you find a filter that works, if you're doing high equity vacants, you can save that filter. So when you go to run it again, maybe it's a month, maybe it's a couple months, maybe it's 3 months, all your filter information is saved. It's the exact same thing. So you don't have to like waste time doing that. So you definitely want to do that. My third favorite one is going to be the pre-probates. And I get this question all the time. It's like, Rick, what's a pre-probate? A pre-probate is nothing more than a suspect potential probate. And here's how they pull the records. If I could pull the records like this, I would. I don't have the ability to. They pull death records, recent death records within the last 30 days, and they cross-reference to property that is owned in that county. If that happens, maybe a probate's not even open and you reach out to them beforehand. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes it's easier when they open the probate because you have somebody that's officially in charge, the PR, the executor, to get you through it, to make a decision. But for the most part, I love this because this is a list I run once every 90 days, and I always find somebody on it that I didn't get from the courthouse. Why? Because this is pre-probate. It's before. It's not perfect, but I will tell you there is money in this list. And for those of you that goes, Rick, I ain't going down to that courthouse. It's way too much work. It's physically exhausting. I work a full-time job. Pre-probates is your substitution to do it because all you have to do is mail or cold call or do an SMS text blast campaign on it. That's why I like it. Is it as good as the courthouse data? Absolutely not. But listrei.com has the ability to pull death records, which you and me pretty much never going to have that ability to do it. I don't even know how they do it. Kind of blows me away they can actually do that. Now, last but not least is good old-fashioned networking. And to speed things up here so I could have great conversations with you guys, is I put them all on here. So number one, you got RIA, and that is a acronym for Real Estate Investors Association. You should all have a local meeting around you. I love these things. Honestly, anybody wants to invite me to come out to one, I love it. I don't travel enough to like do them all over the country, but when I do, I always try to find a local one that I can attend because some of my best friends in real estate were acquired from that. I love to find like-minded people. Guys, there are realtors there. There are mortgage brokers. There's real estate agents. There's brokers. There's hard money lenders. There's real cash buyer. There's brand new wholesalers just like you. And then there's people you could do deals, which I love. So check it out. When you go there, you usually can put a coupon offline to go to one free meeting or get a membership there because you should support your local club. But please don't buy all the crap they sell you because that's where they make their money. And the reality is not all of it's good. And that's why I don't do it anymore because I don't believe in selling crap that doesn't help people out. The next one, title companies. Yes, your title companies hold the ticket to a lot of wholesale deals. I get at least 1 to 2 deals from my title company every month. Here, Rick, these people asked out on the closing. The house needs work. He'll take 10 grand off if you can close it by this week. I can do that, but if you can't do that, you can find someone you can JV with it. Guys, it happens all the time. And I want you to understand, title companies not only know that deals that fall through, they know who the real cash buyers are in their market, and they know who the best cash buying real estate agents are. The ones that represent cash buyers sight unseen and pay the tippy top dollar, you get them from your title company. Heck, I've even had the title company buy properties from me. A lot of them are owned by affluent people, lawyers, doctors, you name it. Guys, title companies, it's like getting years and years of networking done if you can sit down and talk. Now, get to know your title company. Don't run them over, do some business with them. But I'm telling you, title companies know everybody. And if you want to get to know everybody in the market you're doing, if it's local or virtual, your title company will have the best connection for you to do it. So I want you to keep that in mind. The next one, property managers. And this is going to be solely tied with real estate agents and brokers. If there is a large agency in your market that you do it, preferably local, but you can even do it virtually, they manage a large portfolio of rental properties. Now, why would they do this? The reality of why they do it is because that leads to leads for listing agents. And they have, some of these have between 500 and 1,000 properties. And on average, about 2 to 3% of those properties are vacant, very problematic, and need a ton of repairs. So I identified what was the most problematic issue with property management companies. Number one, they hire very young people to run them and they overwork them. 500 properties for 1 or 2 employees. There's not much management going on. It's hard. You got to check in tenants, check people out, collect the monthly rental rolls. You got to send legal notices. You got to handle all the repairs. It's exhausting. So there's always a certain percent where the owner just doesn't want to put any money in the property. It's sight unseen. They don't see it. The cash is rolling in. Why deal with it? The property managers keep telling the owners, if you don't put that new roof on, if you don't replace that AC, if you don't redo the flooring, if you don't paint it, the renters are going to move out on you and you're going to get a lower rent amount. And then they wait till they move out and then they get this $10,000, $20,000 bill. And guess what? That's where someone like you, if you introduce yourself to the property management company saying, listen, I know you're licensed real estate agents, but if you ever have a difficult property and you can't get it rented and your owner is being difficult, I would love to submit an offer and pay you your full commission. That's it. And that's how I get deals. Now, I don't get them every month, but when I get them, it's good because guess what? The real estate agent wants it sold. They want to get their commission and they want to get that rental property out of their portfolio because it's driving them absolutely nuts. So don't overlook property management companies. The last one, guys, is JV deals. I love JV deals. I still think RIAs is probably the best place to get JV deals. If you put comments in lives, which I didn't put that on here, That's a great way to connect with people whenever you can go to an event where you can get like-minded people. It is a blast. A JV deal needs to be put in writing, and either you have a JV agreement, or if you bring the buyer to the table, you absolutely control the assignment of contract. There's no two ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're not on the JV agreement and you're not on the assignment agreement, most likely you are not going to get paid. So please make sure if you're doing that deal, you are covered. And that paperwork immediately gets over to the title company and you make them brutally aware of your interest in the property. So guys, basically with all this stuff, it's everything you need to do to fill up your pipeline. I could go on 4 and 5 hours with this stuff. Okay. I use the simplest strategies, what I did when I started out doing this, and the things you need to do now. And I talk to people all over the country. I'm just telling you, until you fill all these up, then I'll be happy to show you paid ways to attack everything. But you got to get started. That is the key. So many people want to jump to paid right away and they don't understand the value of just going out and harnessing a lot of these free lists. There's a few paid ones I mentioned on here, but that's enough to get you started within your first 90 days with your eyes shut. But guys, you got to go all in. Like, you have got to go hard. Remember, you have to have quantity. If I cannot stress this enough for you, it's quantity. Quantity is required when starting out in wholesaling. Quantity cures a lot of your inexperience and problems, and you want to keep that in mind. So if you guys want to learn how to wholesaling, you're like, the hell is this guy talking about? This guy's a little bit nuts. I am. I got ADHD. I fully admit it. Go right down here, freewholesaling.com. It is 100% a free wholesaling course. It's been out almost about 4 years now. And me and Zach just give it all away. Why? Because number one, you deserve a break. Number two, I don't believe in secrets in wholesaling. Anyone tells you a secret means they want to get to your pocketbook, which is questionable if they want to provide you value. So